Hi, I'm artist Jenny Floravita, and I'm going to be painting a beautiful seascape in oil today. I'm going to be showing you all the steps, and there's a beautiful reflection of water in the front. I'll be working in oil, and these are water-soluble oils, and I'm in Fort Bragg, California today. So I'm getting paint where I don't want it to be. Whoa! Had an accident, and it happens. You just have to be prepared to go with the flow. Okay, there you go. As long as that's red, we're filming. So you have to push this out to be able to connect the brush end. I'm gonna tighten this. This is my new Midian Potash box. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick little underpainting sketch. And like I said, these are water-soluble oils. I tried them out the other day right before I took this trip, and I was quite happy with them. I think that if you have experience painting in watercolor, it helps. Using these oils will be a little bit more intuitive. My medium that I'm using is water, and I'm enjoying that so far. What I was actually hoping is that these paints would dry quicker, but what I have found is that these oil paints take about the same amount of time to dry, maybe just slightly quicker. The brand that I'm using is Winsor Newton, you can see in here. I'm happy with the quality so far. And I know that my lighting is going to change quickly, so I'm going to paint as fast as I can. This is just going to be a sketch. If you can see in the distance there, the rocks are still in the shade, and like I said, I don't want the sun to change. I've got some really nice angles here, so I'm just going to sketch it out as quickly as I can. And those areas are going to be cooler. Okay. There's some nice little dark crevices. What I want to mark in my painting is little areas that I don't want to accidentally not get, and if you put them in there while you're doing your sketches, it's just a little bit easier to remember to keep them. Because especially as the light changes when you paint plein air, then you're going to end up with situations where you're going to not see certain details that you thought were like maybe really amazing. And those were the things that kind of attracted you to the scene. I like the way that the sun is shining on these rocks, and I like the overall design composition. Like I said, I'm just trying to get in the dark points right now, and then I will paint light on top of dark. It doesn't have to be exact, but when you're working in the field, it's good to kind of shoot for something. Practice using your eyes to really look back and forth. Keep looking as often as you can. You might not be able to capture all the details, especially if the light's changing quickly, as it's going to be today. There's more rocks, but I'm going to just kind of work with what I have right now, and I'll see what I can get in. And as far as the white goes for the ocean, I am going to try to leave the whitest parts I'm gonna try and leave those white, because once you lose your whites, it can be really hard to get them back in. So this is kind of like the turpentine sketch equivalent. If I were painting in the studio, I might even let this part of the painting dry. As this is a plein air painting, I'm going to try and get the gesture of what's going on in the beach as quickly and as accurately as possible. And right now I'm mixing just a little bit of titanium white with yellow ochre. My palette's super basic, by the way. So now the beach back here has shadow, and I'm trying to get that shadow color. And this is what it is, to be honest. And there's a little bit of sun that's gonna pop through right there. I'm really just trying to get these shadows exactly the way that they are. You can see the colors that I'm mixing here. You can see I'm not really adding more water because I've got little puddles of water. But I've got this nice little stream coming in. It's good to put your shadows in when you're painting plein air. Just put your shadows in, then you have them, and then you can paint your light areas around there. And there's a certain point in time where you may have to kind of just work with what you have. And if you're not certain about what you're actually seeing, like, for example, yesterday my mom and I were doing a plein air painting, and it was rainy. We were painting from our car, to be honest. It was the only option that we had. She got lost in her painting, in her composition, so things didn't quite work the way that she had hoped that they would. But my point here is that if you don't keep looking and keep trying to get it right, it's just going to be harder as time goes on. And that's just part of a learning process with painting from life versus like painting in the studio. And this is where it's probably a good idea to be able to clean your brush a little bit sometimes. You could even use, you don't have to use paper towels. You could use like a cloth towel. I do both. So the ocean in the background, I'm just gonna suggest it, to be honest. It's kind of like a grayish color. And as we get a little bit more forward, that's not quite the color that I want, but I'm not going to change it because I want some kind of difference. Like I said, certain things are kind of moving. They're changing very quickly. There's not a lot going on in this sky today, to be honest. So I'm just going to do something really basic. It's kind of a little bit gray. Whoops. Yeah, I don't want green. Whoops. So I'm realizing I am not optimally using this brush holder the way that I should be. And I'm here in the sand, and so it's not a flat surface. When you paint outdoors, it's never going to be a perfect condition. So you just got to be able to go with what's going on. But anyways, the sky's a bit of a gray color, and I like that. There's a little bit of a blue. I'm gonna keep that. Yeah. Ooh, love it. I love it. At some point, you got to kind of get paint on the entire canvas, and I'm nearly there. So I'm in a good point. I'm really moving along, because my next step is going to be doing more darks, and then I'm going to be working more in the highlight areas. My plan here is to just use this bigger brush, get the dark tones into these rocks, and then I'm going to switch brushes and do a little bit more detail. But I find that often if you stick with a bigger brush, you're going to get better details. You're going to get something a little bit more expressive versus something that's futzy. And the rocks back here, they are many different layers of rocks. It's crazy. As the sun shines, I'm starting to see more and more details, and at some point, you just have to kind of work with what you've put in. When you're doing plein air paintings, especially if you're not working large, you can't get all of the details. But so it's a little bit of an art form to choose what you're going to get. I think I'm going to try and get some of these golden colors. So I'm going to use a little bit of I think it's Windsor lemon that I have in this kit. And there you go. That is the color. But I can see that I'm going to need to do a little bit more dark for that to work on these other parts. So this is where you have to start being kind of choosy about your brush strokes. There's a little bit of a green, some moss. But we don't want to overdo it with this moss color. And the moss is really just on the rocks. Her temper. Okay. And I'm thinking I'm going to get some more, I need some more titanium white. This is a good reason to have a really limited color palette when you're painting plein air. The fewer paints options that you have, the more that it focuses you to be selective and mix wisely. I'm going to grab some yellow ochre and some titanium white, and I'm going to go in and get the beach. I'm going to try and keep that color a little bit pure because you don't want to lose the clarity. That's going to be your highlights. Aside from like the bubbles in the water. Okay. Take this and I'm gonna mix it, because I'm at a point where I want to get paints everywhere in this painting. Learning to paint with these oils is going to be a little bit of a learning curve for me, because this is a brand new type of oil paint for my work. And I've been wanting to try these for years. And the reason why I'm choosing to do it now is because I'm wondering if this is going to be a better way to travel and do oil paint, because it'll have less cleanup. And I'm going to end up adding some more white in these areas. Because what happens is I'm having a stream of water coming from like a river flowing out to the ocean. So The water, the color that I'm seeing in the water, honestly, it's like a green brown. But the water reflections out here, they're almost like a violet. So really pretty. And because the ocean changes constantly in your scene, you're probably going to have to just work with certain elements, choose a direction and stick with it. Like, for example, I probably didn't need to add this last layer there, but I ended up getting some paint on the canvas, so I thought it is what it is. And I might be able to go back and change it a little bit. All right. Okay, so now I've got paint getting paint where I don't want to get it. Okay. This is the importance of cleaning your brush. All right. And what's causing these light areas is kind of like ocean haze. And it's beautiful. I just really dig it. Okay, so I think I have to go back in now and do some darks. Burnt umber has always, at least to me, the brands I've bought and used, it always feels like it has a thicker consistency. The rocks are really craggly. I think I'm gonna have to go back and fix that area just a little bit. Blend it maybe a little bit. Because I'm getting paint where I don't want it to be. Whoa! Emergency. Sweet love, can you bring paper towels? Paper towels. I spilled water. Uh-oh, I was right. We had an accident. Could you clean my phone off really well? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay. Yikes. They're over there, babe. So, had an accident and it happens, you just have to be prepared to go with the flow. So, everything will be okay. Ooh, and there's my liquid. All right. I think what I'm gonna do is, because I want to finish this painting, it's first and foremost on my mind. I'm just gonna keep going. It's a little bit of a shit show, but I'm gonna keep going.
We just said that.
I did. All right.
Now where should I put this?
I don't know, put it where it's not gonna fly away. Okay. You know what I think I'm gonna do? Kind of try and get some more paint on this thing. And then I'm going to start bringing in my highlights in my water. So I'm feeling the need to work in that water area. But I need to get some paint on here, and I'm having maybe a little bit of a, not a struggle, but I need to figure out how to get how to get some of this paint to move a little bit quicker. So let's see if I can't work with that. All right. Like I said, we need to put paint everywhere in the painting right now. I want to cover this canvas. And let's see. It's actually a greenish brownish color. I want some of my edges to be dark, but then the way the sun works is you get depth when you've got areas where the sun is illuminating. So like say for example, if this edge right here were just dark, it would just look flat. There's going to be like a section in here that's kind of like that. So here's where I need to make sure there's paint everywhere and I don't have like sections that are wet. I feel like these rocks are kind of in an in-between area in the painting. So see, now the sun is shining, I'm seeing more rocks that were kind of back there that I wouldn't have seen in the same light. They just didn't appear because I'm kind of far away. I need to get a little bit of contrast in with these rocks right here. Been bugging me. And basically the only thing I can do at this point is lay paint down thick and be confident. And these rocks actually, they do have a section that's like, it's got some white here. Just committing to what I'm seeing on this rock. Like I said, it's got some areas that are dark. And for me to get that really dark, I have to have alizarin crimson in the mix, and some of this ultramarine blue. And I feel like I'm at the point where the light's changed enough where I should probably stop painting. This area here actually. Originally this area right here was very cool in temperature and it's starting to warm up a little bit, but this is kind of where you know when the lighting is changing, you should probably consider I think it needs some highlights. And all I can really do is use my palette knife or my brush to put on some thick layers of titanium white. Just here and there, little brush. I probably should be using a liner brush. I'm gonna move. That's the effect I want. Yeah. Stop soon because Let's see. See if I can just soften a little bit of this. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, so what I want is these rocks to kind of, I'd like that to be a little bit more yellow at this point. I'm losing the feeling for the moss, and I'm a little disappointed in that because I liked the moss. I think I'm going to call this a painting.
What do you think? I don't like how I did.
Hey, can I feature it?
Sure.
Let's move around to where we get a good light.
Replication.
Like maybe right here. I love it. This is what my son painted. That's actually really great. I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. It's very contemporary. He worked in watercolor. I love it.
Next time I might
Okay.
try oil paints.
So I think I'm at an end. I feel like I've come to an end with my oil painting. I'm fairly happy with it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had a great time painting. If you'd like to see more of my art, please visit my website, floravita.lights.painting, and I have an art newsletter list where we can keep in touch. Till we meet again.